If you're in prison and can only watch one golf YouTube video today, make it this one. This is a huge episode of Big Boy Pants Golf, as Big Boy Pants Golf comes of age on Twitter in a Twitter beef with a famous golf sports writer. FYI, the Twitter beef is still going as I'm making this video. Not gonna show you the name who it is. This morning started just like any other. I got up, Googled golf news, and looked for information that I could use to make a Big Boy Pants Golf YouTube video out of. The first thing I noticed was that as the LIV Golf team concept gets more and more popular, the DP World team wants a little bit more of this golf team action, and now they're gonna have a Ryder Cup type event between the Great Britain and Ireland team versus the rest of the continental Europe. I'm not gonna say you're copying LIV because it's still the team format, but you realize that people like this team idea concept and you're trying to add more of it. I saw another photo and thought, who's the chick? And then realized it was Tommy Fleetwood. At some point, I noticed the following image popping up on Twitter about the President's Cup coming up. Little did I know then that this image would cause two worlds to collide. In response to the President Cup team's international team's photo, the golf sports writer tweeted 2 potential outcomes for President's Cup in 2 weeks. 1, galvanized by the departed, the internationals embrace the underdog role, continually nipping at the heels of the big, bad American side, plucking away every point they can. 2, this thing's over by Saturday night. I responded, the PGA Tour loses either way. If the international team even just keeps it close, it shows that the official world golf ranking doesn't mean that much and or that the PGA Tour players aren't that good. If it's over early, PGA Tour gets less revenue from this cash grab of an event. After putting out this powerful tweet, which I thought was self-explanatory, I put my phone away and didn't think of the tweet again. Until at 6:29 a.m., this pops up. Huh, interesting. Can you explain how they get less revenue? I took this as a question from a person who sincerely wanted to know. Sure, as you and I know, the PGA Tour makes a tremendous amount of revenue from the President's Cup, only a small portion of which goes to charity. A, sponsors already have to be complaining as they did not expect to get this international team, versus one with Cam Smith, Abraham Answer, Anirban Lahiri, Joaquin Neiman, and they aren't getting essentially what they paid for. I would consider this a material breach of the contract these sponsors have signed on for. This establishes almost a bait and switch precedent if this sponsors don't push back now. I continued, once the President's Cup is over, halfway through the event, then revenue is lost in terms of the ad revenue as no one is watching, all the way down to the merch level. Forgettable event. And this loss of prestige carries over to future President's Cup. A true downward spiral. Question answered, I thought it was over. He responded, LOL, that's not how any of this works. Sponsors have been locked in for 2 years. Nobody is demanding any money returned because Taylor Pendrith is on the team over Cam Smith. If you're investing in the President's Cup, you understand that a blowout and or lack of interest due to football season is part of the deal. When the response started off, LOL, I started wondering if he was asking questions in good faith. So I fire back, wrong. They invested based on a certain point system that would bring the top names to the event, not have the top names banned last minute. Good luck getting sponsors in 2 more years. He responds, oh, okay, thanks. I fire back, would love to see your view play out in other sports. Last minute ban Brady and Rodgers and throw in third stringers. See how that goes down. Boom. Big Boy Pants Golf, 1. Famous sports writer, 0. But he doesn't give up. He responds, well, that's a pretty uneven comparison, but I assume in that situation, the NFL wouldn't lose revenue. Tickets already bought, TV deals in place, etc. I respond, potentially, they trapped the consumer in a deal that year, but how does that work out going forward? certainly lost future revenue, as now there is a lack of trust and sponsors will put in new clauses to ensure this doesn't happen again or they will pull out their money. The PGA Tour has hurt its credibility, flat and simple, by not delivering what the sponsors rightly expected, truly cutting off your nose to spite your face. Did you read the article from the Scotsman this past June? Pelly tried to broker a deal between the Saudis and the PGA Tour. Pelly also wanted the Saudi money for the Challenge Tour. So the source of the money wasn't an issue. He responds, "We sticking with the original point or talking about moving forward and credibility and all the other things you're getting into here that we already know?" I respond, point being, why ban these players for taking Saudi money just because Pelly and Monahan didn't get the amount of Saudi money they wanted? It wasn't a matter of principle, it was a matter of amount. Cameron Smith and probably others wanted to play in the President's Cup. Many or most fans and sponsors would have wanted to see the original lineups. So why was the ban put into place? He responds, they're a direct competitor. I don't understand why all of these people would think a business should allow employees of a competitor to work for them. I can't think of another business which works this way. As for the fans, I've said it for years and keep having to say it. You have nothing to do with this. Bottom of the pecking order. Decisions are made based on sponsors, TV rights, players, etc. They're not made to cater to fans. Wow. The fans are the bottom of the pecking order. It's that same attitude why She-Hulk was made and why most of these Marvel movies are garbage nowadays. They're trying to make movies that they want you to like, just like the PGA Tour is trying to put out a product that it wants you to like, but never asks you. Again, you're bottom of the pecking order? Don't you worry your pretty little head. Big Boy Pants Golf fires back for the fans. A, they are independent contractors. B, the ability to bring in fans is what attracts sponsors and TV rights deals. No point in sponsoring an event or having TV rights deals if no one is watching. The PIP system is based on who moves the needle, and the extent to which a player moves the needle is based on the fans. Big Boy Pants 2, famous sports writer, nada. He responds, they literally are not independent contractors. They have signed contracts to work for another business. Those 9-figure signing bonuses don't happen when you're independent. As for needing the fans to attract those things, I completely agree, but that doesn't mean they see it that way, nor do they make decisions based on that thought process. I respond, LIV players are playing in the BMW PGA Championship this week, showing that LIV was designed to operate within the golf ecosystem as stated by Greg Norman and the COO. How are the signing bonuses different than the appearance fees that, for example, Tiger and Rory would get playing overseas? And PIP shows that the PGA Tour does make decisions based on the fans, as to get the other half of your PIP money, you have additional obligations that help the PGA Tour as it showcases its needle movers for the PIP fee. He continues, I'm not sure it shows anything besides the fact that they have to allow them based on the injunction. Pelly has said they don't want them wearing LIV gear, won't put them in feature groups, etc. Not much of a punishment, but hardly as if they're welcoming them with open arms. Overseas appearance fees were always accepted with a waiver, usually one which came with quid pro quo upon return. They literally just removed the social media aspect of LIV. Tough time to argue that it's about the fans. I respond, Pelly is taking the low road with the LIV players. Sad to see, and it's working against the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour, as many people are not a fan of this authoritarian approach. In terms of the appearance fees, why would the PGA Tour expect some benefit when, until this year, there was no minimum guarantee as to how much you could make, and in some cases, players lose money? Doesn't the lack of getting a check if you miss the cut after playing Pro-Am and 2 rounds of golf show these guys are independent contractors? Not sure how they removed the social media aspect of LIV, but the fans won at LIV Boston. Outside of the majors, the most compelling golf this year. He responds, not really sure where this is going. You seem to want to take the anti-PGA stance and want me to argue the other side of it. Sorry, not my thing. I can tell you why some things happen and work the way they do, but I don't work in PVB, and I can't blindly argue in favor of everything PGA Tour, nor will I argue against everything LIV. I respond, I am doing my best to address the points you are bringing up above. So if you make back-to-back points that aren't connected, I respond accordingly. But back to the original point. Do you now see how this ban of LIV players could affect PGA Tour President's Cup revenue? Likely now, but definitely in the future? I'd also hope another takeaway is that you realize the fans come first. It isn't the Jay, they need us Monahan attitude that makes some think that the PGA Tour can put out the same stale product that is 80% commercials every year and the fans have to watch the tradition of it all.
He responds, in the future, of course, not having the best players competing against each other will fracture the game for years to come. The fans are the biggest losers in all of this, but nobody in charge seems to want to recognize any of this. As I said earlier, and as I've been writing for 20 years, the fans are at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to how wide decisions are made. Doesn't make it right. In fact, it's probably very wrong, but that's how it is. I respond, I'm actually a fan. I've read many of your articles over the years. Many of the fans want to see the best players go head to head. So why is there a push to ban them from the majors? I personally think that LIV is fun to watch and would go to an event. I went to both PGA Tour events and the Korn Ferry Tour event in Vegas this past year, so in general, I like golf. Why is the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour trying to destroy the LIV Tour? Does this show the monopolistic nature of the PGA Tour? Why does the PGA Tour and DP World Tour insist that LIV can't grow the game? How much have the PGA Tour and DP World Tour grown the game? A lot of issues for a talented sports writer to delve into. I don't think going through the facts is anti-PGA Tour. He responds, is there a push to ban them from majors? I'm not sure there's from anyone besides those who have business interests in keeping them from playing. As to why PGA DP are against LIV, it's essentially a hostile takeover. If you own a McDonald's and Burger King moves in next door, do you welcome them with open arms and allow your employees to work there? Just the fact that LIV exists should dissuade the monopoly talk. Even Judge Freeman said that in her ruling. I've never thought it's the business of any professional league to grow the game. That's for the PGA of America and the USGA and the R&A. Growing the game isn't in the league's mission statement. They don't want it to not grow, of course, but their job is to run tournaments, organize a tour, and provide playing opportunities, not ensure future generations of golfers get into the game. If we're ranking them based on growing the game, I'll take Topgolf over the PGA Tour, DP, LIV, and everyone else. But it's a silly argument. I respond, I would say there is a push to ban them from majors. That's why LIV golfers, including Bubba, addressed this issue, because it's been raised. You even had Davis Love III, who not so long ago was in a leadership position with the PGA Tour, suggest that PGA Tour players should boycott the majors if LIV golfers got to play. In terms of McDonald's versus Burger King, is the McDonald's employee working full-time and getting benefits? Because surely they can work at both part-time. Why not? Also in terms of McDonald's versus Burger King, they serve different products. Some people like McDonald's burgers, some people like Burger King burgers. Just like LIV Golf versus PGA Tour Golf. They can both coexist to appeal to people who like BK, McDonald's, or burgers in general. In terms of growing the game, this was the PGA Tour's buzz phrase when going into China. But now the PGA Tour insists that LIV can't grow the game. Hence why it would make a good read if someone were to delve into topics like this. Just my 2 cents. In terms of the monopolistic nature of the PGA Tour, good LA Times article from 1995. FTC antitrust lawyers did 4 years of investigation, recommended to the FTC that the PGA Tour be investigated for antitrust violations, but then Fincham used his Congress connections to have Congress stop the FTC from investigating. FTC obviously had its budget controlled by Congress and there was no investigation. The PGA Tour didn't provide these typical benefits of that would show an employer-employee relationship, and I bet there are many instances where the PGA Tour itself refers to the PGA Tour members as independent contractors. I bring up the 1995 article to show that the FTC antitrust lawyers did in fact find reason to investigate the PGA Tour for antitrust violations, and these issues, namely requiring players to get approval to play other tours and the media rights issue, are still relevant today and weren't reviewed on their merits. Did Freeman rule on the monopoly issue or just the TRO issue? What you aren't taking into account is the power over the market of the other competitors, in this case the PGA Tour. Hence a monopoly issue, which still hasn't been judged on its merits, despite being raised in 94-95. I would also want to see the LIV contracts and compare them to the PGA Tour rules for its members to see if the LIV players have an employer-employee relationship or an independent contractor relationship, especially if you view their money as just upfront appearance fees for multiple tournaments. I don't know, man. Out of time, I'm on air now.
So it's over, right? Two guys having it out on Twitter, behind the scenes, shaking hands and moving on with their lives. Wrong. I went back and commented another tweet he made. Here we go again. Wait, so we're going to have an entire convo, finish up, then you're going to jump back in? Fine. My answer to that is, weird how some people don't seem to understand how transparency plays such a major role in perception. When one player is open and honest, while the other player outright refuses to tell the truth, their cases will probably be handled differently. That said, it sure feels like HV3 was grilled in his introductory press conference, so if you want to play this game, you'll need to do some better homework. A lot of you may think that famous golf sportswriter got a point on me there, but hold up, give it a minute. I respond, A, it's a different topic. B, what truth was Cam Smith supposed to say? How do you know what he said wasn't the truth? C, HV3 was nowhere near the level of grilled as Phil Mickelson, Ian Poulter, Lee Westwood, or Paul Casey, was he? He responds, well, he said, when there's some news, you'll hear from me, which never happened. So I guess that wasn't true. Was HV3 grilled as much as those guys? Probably not. Neither was Answer or Neiman or Leishman. We all got desensitized after the first wave. That's how it works. I respond, when Cam made it official that he was going to live, he stated he was going to live. Pretty normal for a person not to want others to put words in their mouth. Why was Cam the one who was grilled the most and over an extended period of time versus the others in his group of 6 that joined LIV? Again, he also came from a humble background, as per the PGA Tour article after he won the Tour Championship this year. HV3 has won $10 million on the PGA Tour and $1 million+ appearance fees for his Saudi Invitational win. How are he and Cam different? Both came from humble backgrounds. Both are now wealthy. Do you need all your athletes to say, I did it for the money when they switch teams? He responds, he actually didn't. It was announced by LIV. I know you want me to speak for all of media and tell you why certain reporters grilled him more, but I can only speak for myself. If you've got a question about something I wrote or said, I'm happy to answer it. I respond, sure. I basically questioned why you gave HV3 a pass and not Cam Smith one on Twitter. You haven't answered, have you? The one that starts off, weird how Cam Smith, 3 years or so younger, in response to you posting HV3's statement. Are you giving him a pass because he admits it's simply too good of a financial breakthrough? I don't know, you're talking about tweets from 2 weeks ago, he responds. I don't think I grilled either or gave either a pass, just stating facts. I respond, you posted HV3's statement along with your input, and I responded to that statement. He responds, so you disagree with what I wrote about HV3? I respond, I note that Cam Smith was not given a pass for coming from a humble background. I've watched the Golf Channel videos with Jaime Diaz pointing out on cue by Matt Adams that HV3 came from a financially challenged background. While Cam gets questioned on basically whether he really wants to play under the pressure, as Cam has stated, he wants to run a coffee shop. So I noticed you are pushing the same, it's okay for HV3 to accept LIV because he came from a disadvantaged background in terms of finances. But so did Cameron Smith. Odd not to point that out. And yes, I do my homework. That's why I told you to hold off on giving famous golf sportswriter a point. I knew I'd get back to him, and I always do my homework. He responds, that's a great point. You should ask Jaime about why he said that. As for me, I never said Cam shouldn't take the money, only wrote that he was less than transparent the entire time. I respond, and to that I would say Cam Smith is supposed to be transparent about his LIV dealings when his verbal commitment could cost him the opportunity to play in FedEx Cup and lose millions? Do you require this level of transparency for other athletes as they are negotiating contracts? He responds, no, that wasn't really a big deal. I wrote half a tweet about it 2 weeks ago. Kinda weird how you were coming at me for it right now. Wasn't really a big deal at all. I respond, I wouldn't describe this as coming at you at all. Just pointing out what is obvious to many. There's a double standard and narratives applied to some and not others. He responds, this is exhausting. If you'd like me to surrender and say that you win based on a single sentence in a tweet from a few weeks ago, it's all yours. As per prison Twitter rules, I just won because he gave up. I've got Twitter cardio for days, my friends. Congrats on the W. Not really sure what you're looking for here, other than an unending debate. I respond, I thought my last comment kind of wrapped everything up. I look forward to your next article. He responds, thanks.